All right, cool. Hey, what's up, positive people? It's B Plus hanging out with a very special guest today. The artist we have stopping by for a little bit of Bodega Talk is none other than Taelor Gray. Taelor Gray, say what's up to the people.
What's up, good people? Happy to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But to me, in my opinion, you are truly one of the unsung great artists in our space. You have been for years. And in fact, many don't know, but my very first recap countdown artist that I had on my show when I launched the channel was you.
Oh, snap. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's live surprise act that like reaction right now. I'm shocked. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was 2018. The Love Don't Last Long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Okay. I got the idea to start the channel from my wife. My son was just born. We were literally at the hospital. They took my son to the nursery. Me and my wife are exhausted. Obviously, she's more exhausted than I am because she just delivered a baby. And I was texting one of my homies about your album. And I had like a long list of like things that I liked about it. He had a long list too. And I told my wife, I was like, I should just make a video and just start sending it to my friends instead of having to like copy and paste this text message to all my friends. I can just make a video, send them the link. So like your album was the very first album review I did. So for me, it's a joy to have you on the show.
That's crazy, man. And now even more of a joy for me to be here, man. I mean, wow, it's almost like pre-2020 didn't happen, but I guess it did.
Yep, right. There's pieces of it that I wish didn't happen. So yeah, man, happy to have you here. And what I want to do is just invite different artists that were a part of DJ Mykael V and 1995's Bodega 2 project, and just sit down and talk to bars. Just talk about their process of writing and things like that. But before we do that, I mentioned that you're a very unsung. You are an entire pastor. You are a husband. You're a father. You have a lot going on. So you're not always one of those artists that's always popping up.
Right.
Kind of not even that artists are trying to be thirsty and try to get people's attention. You just don't have time to do that. So when it comes to Bodega, were you familiar with Bodega 1?
Not particularly. So the person who put me onto the first Bodega was Tragic Hero. He let me because we always talk hip hop and when we talk production, some of the stuff that we are more comfortable with or stuff that we listen to the most. And we were just talking about the 90s and what the representation of that was in CHH. And he was like, "Have you ever listened to Bodega?" And I was like, "Nah, man, I'm not hip to it." So he sent me the album or the link on Apple Music, and I spun it. And I'm like, "Wow, this is crazy! Like that this exists." And then that number one, that this exists. Number two, that I didn't know about it. So
got you.
But I definitely spun all the way through. Has some of my favorites on there. So I enjoyed that experience a lot. And here we are today.
Wow, so getting put on to Bodega from Tragic Hero. And shout out to him. He killed his verse. He had the verse right before you on Time Flies. So definitely shout out to him. Maybe I need to chat with him about his verse because he's a fire artist as well. But take me from not knowing what Bodega, like knowing what like this. It's not even like an album. It's almost just like a experience that DJ Mykael V and 1995 are creating. So take me from that point to actually getting the call to possibly being on it.
Yeah, so it's perfect in kind of the narrative of hearing it the first time, because from that point, knew Tragic Hero. Sorry, bro, I gave him your government name. Tragic Hero is a friend of mine, like a close friend of mine. We've been really close friends for a while. He had been in communication with DJ Mykael V. So they had been talking about adding him to the project, and Tragic threw my name in the hat. And from that was an introduction. I got introduced to DJ Mykael V. And what was cool about it was he was on tour. I think it was the Glory Nights tour with KB and everybody.
Yep.
And he said, "We have a stop in Columbus. So, love to come and hang out and kick it." So myself, Tragic, my engineer, Akeem, and somebody else that I may be forgetting was there. Tragic's son we all got lunch together, and I just got to hear from DJ Mykael V about his heart behind Bodega. And really, like, his connection to that sound was more than just like a cool idea that was random. It was like, no,
Nice.
I want to pay homage. So
You
it
can hear it.
was
You can hear it in it too.
exactly. So it was like, for me, we connected just based off of that heart and that intention, because I think there's kind of a narrative around boom bap that says like it's a time past, but then there's like a deeper conversation about what's timeless, like stuff that's always going to be good no matter what.
Right.
So from that point, it was just like, yeah, man, I'm sending you a track, and got the track, and the rest is history.
Right. So Glory Nights, that was, so what year was that? The end of last year?
End of last year. Yep.
Okay. So I'm tracking along with you. So man, that's super dope. So when would you say you got the track? Like, what was the, like, how fast did you turn around the vocals and things like that for the track?
Yeah, I turn around my vocals pretty fast. So usually I got the track. My timeline is messed up, but it was probably earlier this year. But I turned around my verse probably 2 weeks, something like that.
Nice. Well, cool, man. Well, that's a really cool backstory. It's really like that, like a full circle moment of like not knowing, and then all of a sudden you're gonna sit down and like really connect with him on a level of like authentic. Like, I won't say authentic hip hop, but just like how things were like in the 90s. And we both were born in the 80s, so we're both a little bit older than some. So let's go ahead and let's get into some of the bars. Let's get into like the intro. Like for me, I really like when artists can just like really capture you with the first line. And it's almost like, and like, I'm a big fan of your music, so for me, it just kind of felt like a continuation, like you're like in the middle of a conversation. Like the first line isn't like an introduction; it's just like you're just like hopping right in. So tell me about how you started this particular verse.
Yeah, so I'm really just kind of into the science of writing. I was one of the kids who enjoyed my English class, so language and a lot of that stuff is important to me. And when you write a paper or something like that, you're thinking intro, body, and conclusion. So the intro part of it was more of just like what's going to get folks' attention to just kind of stop and take a look around in our landscape. And that's where the first line comes from. It's like sometimes you have to just stop the activity and celebrate how far you've come.
Yeah.
Like, because a lot of times in the work and all of the things that we're doing, we're so focused on what we're trying to accomplish that we don't really look at like what it took for us to get to where we are.
That's true.
And that's the way I wanted to kind of intro it, because the concept of time flies spoke to me in that way.
Yes.
So that's how I wanted to begin everything off.
Nice. So so it quickly goes from I mean, you really cover a whole lot here. Kind of grabbing some of my notes here, just because I think that resilience, endurance, resolve, like those type of things that are like, when you're young in your faith, you don't think about those things. You're just really zealous. You're almost kind of obnoxious. But the longer and longer you walk with the Lord, it's just like it's an endurance game.
Yeah, really straight up. Yeah, and also I like being an OG. I like being a person who can look back and talk about the seasons and the stages. Like, I embrace that, and at least that helps me connect to younger generations, is to say, listen, I understand that part of it, but let me explain to you a few seasons later what that could look like, or at least my experience with it. So yeah, I try to take the OG position and say, you know what, I don't think my OGs told me enough about what I was walking into. So let me So I got frozen right there because Tragic Hero was calling me just then.
Game.
Yeah. Just telling you what we were thinking, or what we've been through, or what that season looked like. How it felt to navigate some of maybe the same kinds of questions that the newer generation may have. Obviously you're looking at a different landscape. technology, some of the way our culture has changed.
Yeah.
But some of the foundational aspects are still the same.
Yeah. So looking at these first couple lines, it just, to me, it reminded me. I'm a big fan of the wisdom books of the Bible. I'm reading the wisdom books of the Bible probably every day. Like I do a proverb of the day. It's 31 days in a month, typically.
Yep.
So I check out the proverb of the day every day.
Fire.
But like this reminds me of Ecclesiastes chapter 3.
The time comes when you gotta stop and celebrate resilience. Time to fight the system, then the time's for you to build one. Time for you to choose. Feel like you gonna lose, then you look around. The only ones that stayed was just the real ones.
Just like there's a time to laugh, there's a time to cry, there's a time. So like the first couple of bars just kind of reminded me of that. So as I'm listening, that's what I heard. I was just like, oh, this is like Ecclesiastes chapter 3. And then right after that, you said the poetry like Solomon. And I was just kind of like, boom, there it is. Yes. And because I'm a Taylor Gray fan, then my brain thought about Solomon's Porch from a few albums ago. So for me, it felt like a continuation of a conversation that you've had on previous albums. I always feel like your writing style is very contemplative and heavy, almost like Solomon was.
Yeah.
It really makes you stop and think. You're just not gonna hear this turn up and then like have a lot of energy. Like you're gonna like listen to this and like sit with it. So talk to us a little bit about like that Solomon transition to the next part of the song.
The poetry like Solomon. I know it sounds pretty to the times, you gotta model it.
Yeah, and listen, Solomon, first of all, I don't understand how people get bored with the Bible, because the Bible just incorporates so much. And so Solomon, poetry, like it's literal bars. Like there are things written down that will stick with you for the rest of your life. Not just because it's the Bible and you're supposed to memorize it, but because it's well written and it has profound truth attached to it. So Solomon is someone who I look at as a direct inspiration for his creative contributions to the Bible. And Ecclesiastes is 100% an inspiration here. Like, it is directly extracted from the tone of Ecclesiastes, where, Solomon's just trying to make sense of the highs and lows. And some people would say he's kind of depressed, but at the same time, the wisdom is to be able to step back and see how things play out, while when you're in it, you may not necessarily know how to explain that. So the whole idea of time and the way that time works is a big part of Ecclesiastes. So 100% that was intentional. And then even mentioning Solomon was intentional.
Nice. Then there's a bar that says, I know it sounds pretty until the times you gotta model it. It show up in your politics.
Show up in your politics. Differences of God and man. This how far you take it when he's telling you to follow him.
It's funny just because like obviously we just finished another election. Like I mentioned, like you're a pastor, so I can imagine that your time is pretty busy right now with people on both sides feeling certain types of ways. But this part of this time of year is exhausting for me. Because it, like people can even taking it beyond like Solomon and his writing and just like the word of God in general. Like we can say all these nice lines, we can say all these things about like the Beatitudes and things like that, but then politics show up and a lot of people just pitch all that stuff out the window and they take on their favorite political commentaries, energy. They find a new clever way to like have a gotcha moment, and we just go regurgitate all that, and we retweet and we post and we get in arguments with complete strangers online, and we toss all that out the window. So I thought that line was really, really good.
To be honest with you, man, like I was surprised. I didn't know that the project was going to release on election day.
Right.
So it was like, man, what a day to, launch this idea. But at the same time, man, like I take an approach, and I don't really use this terminology a lot, but it is behind the way that I write. But I kind of flow in a prophetic stream in the way that I write. Like it's not just about predicting the future. It's about being sensitive to the times and standing up and declaring the truth. So it's very interesting to me to have written this verse like earlier in the year and then to see it land on this day and how relevant it feels for me, you know, in terms of the way that I have to navigate discipleship conversations.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the
I can
way,
only imagine.
yeah, man. So the church is feeling it all across the board. And, you know, there's more than what we express on social media. There's a lot of talking and working through and deconstructing and processing. And that's what I was trying to say in that line, is it
Yeah.
shows up. Like all of this stuff that you're thinking about, what you've been through, it shows up in your politics.
Yeah, it really does. And then like that next line, just talking about like the differences between God and man. And then you talk about like at the end of the day, your rabbi is telling you to follow him.
Show up in your politics, differences of God and man. This how far you take it when he's telling you to follow him.
Not follow
Yes.
all this other stuff that people got going on, even though they have really good commentary. They have like a really good gut shot to a conversation or a debate. But like us just to sit down and just constantly just like live in that. And it's almost like, and you probably can maybe speak to this more, but like it almost feels like some people, like they go through life, they go through the different seasons of life. We're talking about like the wisdom books, they talk about different seasons, and we almost like trade in our next trigger for a new one. Politics is over, you turn that one in, and now you just grab the next thing, and now you're off. But like God's calling us to follow him and not follow like each and every season, the next trigger, the next let me start. I can go on forever because I sit back and I just kind of watch. I'm very observant. So you have any thoughts on that before we move to the second half of the verse?
I mean, bro, like you hit it, man. It's one of those things where we really do have to trust God. Like at the end of the day, like following Christ is a deep trust, you know, and we don't trust in the factors that are around us, the circumstantial data or effects or how we feel. Like we really have to actually follow Jesus when he takes a step in a direction or as we continue to watch him walk. So like this thing is real to me, man. And I don't want to just project it as if it's just something, you know, for people to party to, even though there's that part of it.
Yeah.
This is like commentary about the way that we have to live. And I want it to, at the end of the day, communicate hope.
Yeah. Yeah. And as the song goes on, it says it turns into a pattern. It turns into rings like it's turning into Saturn.
Turn into a pattern. It's turning into rings like it's turning into Saturn. It's turning into a covenant. They turn up at the tavern.
So
yeah.
I took it like a couple different ways. First of all, it's just dope. But like either way, even if you're following the pattern of this world or you're following the pattern of your rabbi, your teacher, like it's going to turn into a pattern. Whether it's going to be a pattern, like I was saying, of just like each and every season is trading out new triggers, trading out new traumas, or it can turn into a pattern of godliness, and it's going to turn into rings. It's going to turn into a lot of wins for you. So I thought that was a really, really, really good transition.
Yeah, and it's kind of a double entendre in terms of like how we understand the depth of the covenant with God, and then commentary on marriage right now, you know, where
talk about it.
Yeah, the commentary on marriage. I think right now we're in a bit of a gender war type of experience across our culture. And then that turns into like, you know, how we view the values of men and women as, you know, they grow from young adults to building families or not building families.
It's turned into a covenant. They turn up at the tavern and turn to polyamory. It's all about the ego. And then you the weirdo when you tell them marriage matters.
And right now there's a real exploration of this notion that you don't need to be married. You don't need to have kids. You don't necessarily look at those who are married as the people who you trust or you follow their example. Literally they're the biggest artists in the world saying that married people look miserable. And it's like, wow, man. So the commentary has to shift to say, this is not just about making marriage the main thing, but what does transformation take you to? It takes you to a consideration of what commitment and covenant actually means. And ultimately it's supposed to display something that gives people hope.
Right. And there's a ton of clips, and that's why I feel like this thing you talked about, like with marriage, is very, no pun intended, timely to be talking about this on the song Time Flies, because like that's one of the main topics right now. You have, like, remember we had Cam Newton talking about his perspective
Yep.
Lecrae just had Nick Cannon on his show.
Yep.
And he was giving his perspective, and Lecrae was kind of pushing back on him then. So it's like this is one of those conversations during this time where, and then like in me personally, I probably have a handful of people in my life right now who are all either just had a divorce, in the midst of a divorce, or contemplating it. And it's been grieving for me, because I'm hearing them talk about like things that they've gone through, and I'm just kind of like in some aspects I'm like, I understand where you're coming from, but because like that's a part of marriage. It is work. And it's just like it's the enemy really does like, I like how you put it, like we're in a bit of a gender war where you have women podcasts that almost just like are demanding like a certain thing, and then you have I don't follow a lot of men podcasts. Like I just don't. I don't. But you hear those people. Like obviously we have the red pill community as well. So it's like it's almost setting us up against each other to like be combating with each other and constantly finding fault with each other. And I just be wanting to just chill, be like, gosh, like it's. I think if we all just stopped and realized how blessed we are, at least in some of the relationships that I've been in and around, and people who have come to me about their issues, I'm just like. And if you just take a deep breath, like y'all are actually okay. It kind of reminds me of, I guess, 1 Corinthians, I think it's 10, where it talks about there's no temptation that's common to man. Like I feel like there's nothing in your marriage that's not common to men and women.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Sorry, I'm talking too much.
No, bro. But this is hopefully this is an effect that a lot of people feel when listen to the verses, that this is talking about something that matters.
Yeah, it does.
It matters so deeply to the point where, like, if we don't talk about it, then we're going to continue to see this stuff unfold that we don't want to see. Yeah. So, I have gone through the same thing, man. A lot of my close friends divorced. Again, like some of the young homies that I'm around, they're asking me, like, what's the point of marriage? It's not just a given, like, I'm just going to get married. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna be with my girl, but I don't know what the meaning of marriage is, because I see so many failed marriages. So it's gotten to the point where our commentary, it has to reflect some hope. It has to give some definition to who God calls us to be, beyond just like, saying the right thing or supposedly looking like we're doing the right thing. So I'm trying to just bring some commentary to it, because polyamory is getting a ton of airplay right now, man. Like it is literally like, it's not even just polygamy. It's just like I can have multiple people that I entertain in relationship or in romance. So it just we have to start speaking on it more directly, in my opinion. Yeah. And you actually talk about that like in the next line. You say, God forbid I be the lost one. God forbid you find a prophet on your socials is a false one. God forbid I be a lost one, and God forbid you find the prophet on your socials is a false one. And I feel like a lot of stuff that we are fed in our relationship, and just not like our romantic relationship, but like even like in our just friendships. Yes. Like a lot of times we get these ideas from different people we see on social media. Like you had no idea about even wanting something or needing something in a relationship, and you hear somebody else talk about it, you're like, oh, I want that too. And you start dumping that on your spouse or dumping that on your friends. You're just like, did you actually want that? Or did you just, or did like you said, like, is this you looking at this person and holding them too high in esteem? So we got to talk about these thirst traps, man. We got to talk about, because men and women throw out the thirst traps, and that's just in the romantic regard. But then the construct of social media, a lot of it is driven by comparison and jealousy. Yeah. Like we can look at something and say, oh, I want that, even though it may not be a full and accurate portrayal of that person's life or who that person is. So to your point, it's like, the temptations can pull you in a lot of different directions. Yeah, absolutely. And let's go on to one of the fun bars that I enjoyed in this line, the wrestling reference. Stone Cold Steve Austin and Dwayne Johnson, Monday Night Main Event was awesome. Talk about that real quick. A lot of my verses and the way that I write, I incorporate just random drops of nostalgia. So again, speaking again to time. Yeah, exactly. So time flies. It just put me right back into maybe my freshman or sophomore year in high school, when I was sitting on the couch at home watching Monday Night Raw. Yeah. Now, this was before my parents ended up blocking the channel for stuff that was on there, but you know, at one point, I was able to watch it freely, and I enjoyed it.
Right. That's pretty
So
dope.
that's specifically, I just got to say specifically, the Rock versus Steve Austin is the Attitude Era. That is the 90s. That is hopefully connected to the broader Bodega idea. It is that era of wrestling that is my favorite. So I had to shout it out.
Yeah, I'm actually listening. I just finished episode 3 of Mr. McMahon on Netflix. So for me, like I'm listening and I'm seeing this. It's like for me, it's just all connected. It's all connected.
You got to have another. You got to see. I'm not the expert here. I'm the expert on the era, but you definitely got to circle back and talk to Armand about that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
That documentary by itself. Oh my goodness, man! It's really good.
Yeah, it's bringing back a lot of dope memories.
Yes.
And then your bar after that, talking about like you just had the wrestling line. Then you like obviously in wrestling they always call it the squared circle. So then for you to go hop right into some bars, just kind of illustrating or just kind of piggybacking on your previous bars. I thought that was a great dismount and a great way to end the verse.
Yeah, man. I just want to consistently communicate that I stand where I stand. Everybody doesn't have to stand where I stand, but I'm going to stand on what I believe I need to say and what I believe is beneficial for us to hear.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like I really just want folks to be confident about what they believe and confident in our ability to stand on what we believe, because I think these are troubling times.
Yeah. Yep, it's definitely a time where we need discernment, where we need community, and I feel like overall, this verse really speaks to just like I said, resilience. It speaks to just, I guess in a way, just like to me it felt very, like I said, contemplative, just like the wisdom books of the Bible. Just makes you just kind of stop and think, like, man, like this is it really is a vapor, and we really do need to just cling to the Lord, cling to the cross during these times. So, man, this fire verse, man, I was so happy. And then on top of that, like I said, you had Tragic on there. Been a fan of his music, and then to have Belief on there. Then things kicked off at 350. To me, it's one of my favorites on the project, and I'll say this now. I'll let you go. The verse before that the song before that was Tribe on the Move, and that was like the first single. That song was crazy, crazy energy. Yeah. And I actually thought about it. I was like, that might have to be like the ending track on the project, just because it's like what's better than that? Like then their live performance they did of it. It was just crazy. And then when I got the track listing and I saw that you Tragic 350 and Belief were after it, I was kind of like, this got to be crazy.
Yeah, I love that. DJ Mykael V, like he showed us that song when we were all hanging out, because again, we had gotten into that 90s conversation, and that Tribe on the Move song, like it was 100% direct homage, to some of the Onyx, like they're just some of that kind of stuff. And it was just like, man, this is so dope that the younger generation can extend the life of stuff like that. So I was happy to come right after that song. Nice.
Well, great. So Positive people, thank you guys so much for checking out this edition of Bodega Talk. Taelor Gray, thank you so much for stopping by. You have anything, any upcoming news right now, or are you just kind of pastoring your church and loving your family?
Bro, I'm always writing. So I'll probably, by the time whenever this gets posted in the next few weeks, I'm going to drop a whole nother project. So, to end out the year, I'm just I've got some stuff lingering, some stuff I've been writing, and it looks like it's going to turn into an album. So stay tuned.
Okay. Sounds good. You heard it here first. So, man, this has been fun. Positive people, I will catch you guys next time. And until next time, peace in, confusion out, and be positive. Hey, what's going on, positive people? Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. Make sure you like, share, and leave a comment below of your thoughts on this video. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Be positive, y'all.